And we are live. My name is Federico Ree, and this is Inspired Talk Radio. You can find us on inspiredtalk.net. And tonight's guest is actually quite a special guest. In fact, a very unique guest for that matter. And I'll just give you a bit of a clue. He's a magician, an entrepreneur, and certainly a very unique blend in the world of business. And I can't wait to get stuck into my discussion with Vin in just a moment. Essentially, tonight's theme or topic is about using magic, I guess, as a way of influencing others and possibly creating a career in motivational speaking. So essentially, Vin Giang, which I'll introduce now as our guest. How are you, Vin?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me, Fed. Appreciate it. Hi to all the listeners.
Absolute pleasure. Live, and it's scary for some, but I think we're gonna do some amazing tricks tonight, and hopefully a bit of magic along the way. So just for the viewers, so that they know essentially who you are, Vin, as I can see on your public profile, you're the CEO and director of Luminary Productions and also an entrepreneur and magician. You're also the winner of the 2013 South Australian Young Entrepreneur Award. And apparently you use magic as a way of communicating and persuading your audiences and also delivering a powerful message. And since 2013, you've taught magic to over 41,000 students, which is absolutely impressive. And you've also recently partnered with an online magic school to further your legacy of using magic to influence others. So I guess that's a good summary of what you do, Vin, but let me hear it more from you directly. So I guess my first question stems around what made you get into magic?
Yeah, like Fed, I think the only thing you missed in my intro is that I did not fulfill the Asian prophecy and become an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor. So, no, but look, back to your question. I think, I think what got me into magic may be something that's common that gets a lot of magicians into magic. And it's an answer that if you're not a magician, you may not know. So it's actually attention. So magic actually gets a lot of attention. So as a kid, I starved attention, right? I was the one that was neglected. I was the nerd. I wasn't the cool kid. And then one day, serendipitously, I found magic. And it was just a book, and I learned a trick. I went to school. I performed a piece of magic for my friends. And they ran around screaming. And to me, that was literally an injection of self-confidence. And I was like, wow, this feels really good. This attention is really good. I was addicted to that attention because the more attention I got, the more confident I got. The more confident I got, the more I started to believe that I could do. And the more I believed I could do, I started to do more. So it was this weird kind of a cycle that was really addictive. It was where all my confidence came from. I genuinely believe that.
I can certainly relate to your perspective or point of view that, we entrepreneurs and magicians, in your case, we like to be the center of the attention. And I guess we like to,
it's horrible.
we like to, I guess, persuade others to believe in our dream and believe in our product or service. And we go out there campaigning that product or that idea as dreamers. And hopefully we have those that will follow us. So do you consider yourself more as an entrepreneur or as a magician or a combination of both?
I think I'm a bit of a mixed breed. I think I'm a bit of both because the magician part of me is the artist. That's the creative side of me, I guess. The entrepreneurial side of me is where I have, I do have the hunger to be able to build businesses to make money. But at the same time, I balance that with the art. So to me, I feel like I've got a nice balance between the two. So dare I say 50?
Yeah,
there is.
And going back in your early years, was there something in particular that made you decide you want to go down that path, apart from the kids at school wanting to know more about what you do? Is there a family history in magic in your family?
Definitely not. My dad's a hardcore Asian Bruce Lee dad, so there's no trace of magic in his background, or my grandfather, or those before them, or my grandparents. So I think magic was something that spoke to me and really spoke out to me individually. And there was no family influence. It really was just, it was serendipitous. Like, I'll quickly share with you the story. My dad and my mum used to put us, just take us to the state library and drop us there after school because it was essentially free childcare. And there would be like a group of 15 of us, myself and one of my cousins. And it was just one day this librarian saw us continue to play with cards every single day. She then gave us a book and said, well, why don't you try some magic tricks instead of just playing Snap every day? And that was it. So it was a very serendipitous thing. It was almost a love at first sight. Hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's a luck and fate thing. So
awesome, awesome. And on a professional level, have there been people that have influenced you to go down this path, or those that perhaps have encouraged you to pursue this as a serious profession?
Yeah, look, I think a lot of people wouldn't think this, because I guess the Asian culture is quite strict, and there's a lot of cultural pressures for you to, you know, jokes aside, to actually do pursue engineering, accounting, being a doctor, being a lawyer. There's a huge and very real cultural pressure there. But my mum and dad, I think they've always known that they've always known what my gift is. And from the moment I started learning magic, the first people I'd perform it to was my mum and my dad. And I think they recognized the love that I had for it. It wasn't just a phase, but I think they knew the deep love that I had found in magic. So, you know, when I made the big, going to quit commerce and law and I'm going to pursue magic, I know they knew it was inevitable. You know, it was just a matter of time.
I love the fact that you're using terms like love and passion, and certainly I can relate to that as an entrepreneur, and our listeners who are largely entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs would certainly relate to your point of loving what you do, I guess. So you've been doing this since 2013, and you run two businesses, I guess, and one of them is Luminary Productions and the other is Encyclopedia of Magic. So can you just sort of describe them in brief, what they do?
Yeah, so look, Luminary is a video production company, and essentially, to give you the essence behind that, being a speaker, being a magician, and being a director, the common thread between those three things is storytelling. So I'm just absolutely, again, and I know I'm at the risk of overusing the word, I absolutely love storytelling. Like, to me, storytelling is just such a wonderful way to be able to communicate. And I built Luminary with my co-founders, amazing videographers from around Australia. We built it because we saw a deep need. We saw a deep need in the world of business, but also just for people who want to build brands, that they've got to storytell more authentically. And I found videographers who make documentaries, and you know, documentaries to me are very authentic, transparent, and real. So then we created a business based around being, you know, storytelling, helping businesses storytell better and amplifying the best parts of them.
That's awesome. And look, as an influencer that you are, I guess being able to communicate effectively is key. And apart from, you know, being you know, a good verbal communicator, using magic, I guess, in one shape or form takes it to the next level. So can you give me an example of how magic, I guess, persuades people to take note or observe what you do? Like, can you describe that in a bit of detail?
Yeah, so, you know, with magic, it's, again, we'll go back to the original point I said, it's that magic is the most fraudulent way to get attention, build trust, and break down barriers. So I can walk up to a stranger in Rundle Mall in Adelaide, or in any city. I can walk up to a stranger in the city and go, watch this quickly, do a trick. Before that, there was a massive wall between that person and I. The moment I showed them the trick, they go, oh my God, how do you do that? What the hell? Instant rapport.
And then you put your hand in their pocket and take money?
We're not that fraudulent, but then you immediately have this great connection. They don't know you from a bar of soap. As far as they're concerned, I could be a murderer, right? But they love you. They go, wow, that's amazing, man. Is there more? So I realized that very early on in my magic career. I just said, wow, well, this is crazy. Imagine I did this in my business meetings. So at the beginning, at the start of my career, I started doing it in some business meetings, totally out of context. People just thought, that's just stupid. It's silly. What the hell are you doing, young man? But now I understand how to subtly introduce a little bit of magic into a lot of my meetings. Even when I meet with CEOs around the world, even when I Skype with them and everything, I'll do something small and it massively intrigues them. And it just gets the conversation started now with massive rapport. And there's a huge amount of trust after that as well. It's so weird.
Yeah, look,
magicians are lying to you and you trust them.
Look, I've watched some of your acts and some of your videos, and certainly they are very interesting and certainly attractive in that respect. I guess the listeners might be asking the question, well, you know, it might be talent that you have. Can anyone learn the art of effective magic and pretty much incorporate it in their everyday life as business owners or as entrepreneurs? Or is that a bit far-fetched to assume that anyone can adopt that that method of persuasion or sales or whatever it is that you call it?
Yeah, and I do apologize if you can hear that ice cream truck. There's just an ice cream truck passing. But look, I honestly think that anybody can. I mean, look, the question I think that's really important, even before that question, is like, do you know what your gift is, right? I think this is so important as well, because my mum and dad has this great philosophy on children. Mum and dad always say that every single child in the world has a diamond, and it's the parents' responsibility to help them discover what that diamond is. And when you find it and you dig for it, you find it, and it takes a long time to find it, you help the child polish that diamond to be as bright as it can be, and you share it with the world, right?
Yep.
So if that diamond of yours is communication and magic, then hell yeah, of course. To me, there's no doubt. But if it's something completely different, then I think the answer is, it'll be harder for you. I've seen, there's a magician online that I was sent a video about. He was blind, and he still was able to become a magician. So, but then I believe in my heart that his core gift in himself, he was born to do that.
That's great stuff. And look, as we're talking, you're sharing your secrets to success, or perhaps your words of wisdom when it comes to having a fulfilling career. You've added another point of knowing your gift. And just for the viewers, I am inviting questions for you, Vin, and the number to send that text to is 0408 510 378. And hopefully you'll have the opportunity to have Vin answer that question. So just continuing on with pretty much what you do, Vin. So tell us how you've managed to amass 21 or 41,000 students so far in your online curriculum. So I guess that's going back to your other business, which is the Encyclopedia of Magic. So you were describing that just before, or about to describe it. So how does that work?
Well, just to give you context as well, Encyclopedia of Magic was a magic school online that I built with 3 of my co-founders. But since then, earlier this year, we just joined forces with another online magic school called 52 Cards. And they're a very large magic school. They originally, I think they had over 450,000 students from around the world. So now combined together, we have just over 500,000 students. And we teach primarily on YouTube, but we also got a site, 52 Cards, but with a K.com. And I think a lot of
We've got a bit of a technical glitch here at the moment with Google Hangout. Hopefully it'll be fixed in just a moment as we're waiting for Vin to come back. So as we're doing that, I'll be just going through some of the key points that Vin has described. He talks about passion. He also talks about love. And he also talks about knowing your gift and pretty much having people out there as influencers to help you perfect your skill, whether it's your parents or mentors for that matter. We do hope that Vin will come back on this transmission as we're waiting for him to come back. I am inviting questions from the audience, from the public. You can send your text to 0408 510 378. And I do hope that this transmission does resolve itself in just a moment. So hopefully Vin will be back. So just stay tuned. We are back again. I think we lost Vin for just a moment. Houston, we have contact.
Magicians just have to disappear every now and then. It's just
a
magician thing.
That's absolutely part of the trick, part of the show, and I'm glad that you've come back. So, I'm not sure where we were with our question. It was about your other business, Encyclopedia of Magic. So describe that, how it works, and how you've managed to, I guess, attract 41,000 students.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you context. So essentially, earlier this year, we just joined forces with another magic school online called 52 Cards with a K.com. And essentially, they had a student base of over 450,000 students. We combined now, so we're just over 500,000 students. And I think one of the ways that Assad, who's the co-founder of 52 Cards, and I have been able to build our own audiences is because magic is quite an old art form. And the way you would learn this art form is by reading books, right? And essentially, kids nowadays, and a lot of kids get into magic when they're young, they no longer want to learn from books. So basically, the platform to learn things now is YouTube. YouTube is the new library, is the 2000 plus, it's the library now. So we were the library that was there first. We were one of the first few people to teach magic on YouTube. And as a result, I think that's why we've been able to build such a big following. It was just kind of that.
So if people wanted to know more about Encyclopedia of Magic and perhaps learn the skill of magic, how would they do that? Is there a website that people can go to?
Yeah, definitely. If they want to jump on 52cards.com.au with a K. So
Fantastic.
www.52cards.com.
Awesome. Now, as you disappeared with your magic, I had a few people send through their questions. I've got a couple here which I'll just read out to you in just a few seconds. So I've got one.
We're getting questions. So cool.
Absolutely, this is live. So Jody from out there in cyberspace, he's asking the question: has there ever been a time when magic has not worked?
Yes. I did my first Fringe show, which is a huge festival in South Australia. And I walked on stage and I was selling this trick hard. I was like, I'm going to be able to read your mind. You're not going to know how this is done. When you go home tonight, you're not going to be able to sleep. And then the trick doesn't work because the night was incredibly hot. The thing that I was using, I went to destroy magic for everyone. It failed. And I didn't know what to do. This was one of my first times on stage. I ran backstage and I was stressing. The audience starts slow clapping me to come back out. So wow. I cry. I'm backstage, grown man, and I'm crying my eyes out. And
that's
I learned,
incredible.
Gotta have a plan B.
Absolutely. And I guess when you came back on stage, you were performing even better than before.
No, yeah, I didn't go back on stage. I was just crying. So
you're just crying. The tail was in between your legs.
But you know what I learned? And I guess, great question, Jody. And what I essentially learned was that a mistake on stage is not a mistake until you treat it as a mistake. The audience has no idea. The audience has no idea. And it's so true when you look at that from the perspective of life and in business as well. Until you make a big deal out of something, other people won't.
Yeah.
Other people won't. So I think it's only when you make a big deal out of it that everybody starts freaking out. So
I guess it's comparative to losing your signal just before. I just pretended it was part of the magic, even though I was stressing. Yeah. So good example, exactly. Vin. That's a great answer there. Great question, Jody. I do have another question also from Pete. Does good magic require talent or training or a combination of both?
I think good magic requires obsession. I think that's what it is. You can have talent, you can have skill, but unless that skill is, I think, coupled with a little bit of healthy obsession, because magic is, there's so much elegance to magic. To perfect a move, you'll spend 100 hours. You have to have incredible patience. And if you don't have that obsessive nature to you, I think you'll never be able to just perform it like just right. I think, yeah, it's difficult to describe, but like I could do a move over and over and over again for hours on end. And
yeah,
I just want to get every bit of it right.
I guess the way I interpret your word obsession is almost like passion that the entrepreneur has. And I guess as an entrepreneur myself, sometimes I'm obsessed with an idea, with an opportunity, and I do everything possible to start, getting attention and start building that momentum, even though in the process there are a lot of skeptics and a lot of people out there that are boohooing it or perhaps not seeing the big picture. So yeah, look, perfection or madness comes from obsession, and yeah, it's a good way of describing how you become good at magic. So very, very interesting point. Obviously, there might have been people out there in the world over the years that might have influenced you, Vin, and I've got three here that I'd like to know which of these three people were your favorite magicians. David Copperfield, Harry Houdini, and Val Valentino. Are there any favorites there that you have?
Let's A, B, and C, right? I'm going to create a D and share with you my favorite magician in the world is Derren Brown. So Derren Brown is a phenomenal magician from the UK. So those of you who haven't checked out Derren Brown, he's heavily influenced me as a magician, but also the people he was influenced by. Another magician named Chain Canasta is another magician that I've watched a lot of his videos, and yeah, to me,
and what makes him unique for you or special to you as compared to the many other magicians out there?
So in magic, Fed, there's two types. Well, there's two areas in magic. There's sleight of hand, and then you've got your technical skills as a magician. Then you've got your showmanship, fancy word, communication skills. So with Darren Brown and Shane Canasta, these two magicians, they're very heavy showmanship magicians. So their characters surpass their magic. First, when I first learned magic, at the age of 15, 16, I couldn't have a conversation with someone without a packet of cards, because all my confidence wasn't in me, it was in the packet of cards.
Yeah.
And I think this was something Darren mentioned in one of his interviews. He said, until you become more interesting than the magic isn't magic. Like it's understanding that you have to shine brighter than the magic. And that's when real magic actually happens for the audience.
And so, can you apply that philosophy in everyday business life as well, that you've got to shine beyond normality?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if we look at the granular element of this, in business, we have our technical skills. We all have our technical skills. And what do we do all year round? We try to improve our technical ability. Then we go to conferences, we improve our technical ability. But when do we improve our showmanship in business? When do we improve our communication skills? Because the communication skills is literally the bridge that allows you to deliver the value you have in your mind.
Yep.
Because without communication skills, how could you ever deliver the value? Magicians, I can do the best piece of sleight of hand in the world, but if I don't know how to communicate that across to you, you will never experience the magic as I intended.
Yeah.
So to me, I think as business owners and as aspiring entrepreneurs who listen to this, you know, we're expected to have great communication skills out in life in the business world. But where are we taught this? The universities, they don't teach us. Nowhere teach. High school doesn't teach us. Primary school doesn't teach us. We expect to learn it by ourselves.
So coming back, focusing or drilling deeper into effective communication, I guess what we're saying here is through magic, you can become even more effective, an effective communicator. So therefore, if I'm a business owner or if I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, if I learn a bit of magic or even apply a little bit of magic from time to time, you're saying that that could be very effective in my ability to influence other people, even though I'm not a professional magician myself. Is that right?
I think magic can be a great fun vehicle for you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Yep.
So what it can essentially do, Fed, is, you know, you don't want to just go and speak to a stranger because it's scary. But if I show you a really simple trick you can do, you'd love to be able to take that and go show a stranger. So again,
so with that said, are you able to maybe give us a trick tonight? Like I've put you on standby here, but on the spot. Sorry, do you have anything to show us, or have a think about it? And as you're thinking about it,
a sec. I'll have to make sure I grab my cards.
Okay, you're gonna make that Christmas tree disappear. That's great. I can't wait. I do have another question from Blake, and maybe we'll come back to your trick in just a few moments. Blake is asking the question about quitting. Have you ever thought about quitting, and what keeps you from not quitting?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that scares me the most, Blake, is I look back on my journey and I can remember specific moments in detail. I even remember the weather and where I was sitting, where I was ready to give up. I can remember so many of these moments. And in hindsight, when I look back now, those moments scared the hell out of me, because had I given up, I wouldn't be where I am today. And the one thing that kept me going was my belief in my capability, and my belief and my understanding that the me that wants to quit now is basing that decision on what I currently know. But that doesn't have to dictate the me tomorrow or the me next week or the me next month. I know that I'm capable enough to evolve. So I want to quit now. The me wants to quit now is just the me in the present. But I had a lot of belief and faith in the me in tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. And that's what kept me going, was because of just that relentless belief that I'm capable. You know, not that I 100% will succeed, but I believe that I'm capable. And it kept me going. It just really kept me going. And that's something my mum and dad really instilled in me. You know, I think my mum, very beautiful thing she always says to me is, she goes, you know, you have all these pictures of people who are successful in your room. Son, you're made of the same stuff they are. You breathe the same air, you eat the same food, whatever they can do.
I guess so. And I guess all those successful people out there, whether they're serial entrepreneurs, game changers, pioneers, I guess they're people like you and I, and that they had to start somewhere. So we can learn from those stories in the humble beginnings, and I guess we all have the same opportunity. We're talking about success stories, or actually your formula to success. And I read in one of your in some of your literature that your formula to success hinges around psychology, suggestion, influence, magic, and business. Can you sort of elaborate on that a little bit further so that our listeners can sort of get a grasp on what you're talking about?
Yeah, look, I think to put it more eloquently, I guess, just because I know when I wrote that, I wrote that a couple of years ago. Being able to distill the thought now, being me for a while since then, I started to realize that if there's 9 billion people in the world right now, 7 billion people, whatever that number may be, then there's actually 9 billion different paths to success. And I'm starting to understand that more and more and more. There's some common threads, but the first step, I believe, we all have in common is that we have to become extremely curious about what our talent is and what our gift is. I mean, no one, and I mean this, no one who's listening to this can actually say they don't have a gift. We all have a talent. We all have something that is stronger than all of our other traits combined. We all have that. I believe the society, the influence of society, the influence of culture and the norm, we all believe we have to walk this default map. But the thing is, we have to become deeply curious first with, what is that for me? And most of us haven't done more than 5 or 6 different jobs in our lives.
Yeah.
What if you know, and this is to a point, is my dad, when I was in year 11, when I was 17, I came home and I did work experience at a nursing home because I didn't arrange a place for me to work at. So my school put me in a nursing home. I came home and I said, Dad, I'm screwed. I have no idea what I want to do for the rest of my life. My dad hits me across the back of the head. I reckon I still am losing brain cells from this. And he says to me, you've tried 3 jobs in your life and you tell me you don't know what you want to do. For the next year in my life, my dad made me try 26 different jobs. And he literally made me wear my backpack, tuck my shirt in with my school uniform, walk into the pharmacy and say, hi, my name's Vin. I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I think pharmacy might be it. Can I come in and sweep your floors on the weekend? And he would force me to do different jobs. And then, mate, I discovered what I wanted when I set foot in a theater. I was like,
I guess I also translate that into humble beginnings, hard work, perseverance, hardship, as you mentioned offline before. Those that came from a challenging background are typically the ones that succeed the most, as compared to the ones that have it too easy and give up too soon because it's all too easily given to them, I guess. So what I'd like to do now is just sort of sum up some of your key points. We call them the golden nuggets on our Inspire Talk show. And maybe as I do that, if you wanted to go away and come back with any bit of magic, whether it's a pack of cards, totally up to you. So as I'm doing that for our audiences, I'm just going to read out some of Vin's elements to success. He talks about passion, love. He also talks about knowing your gift and having mentors around you who can encourage you to discover that gift. He also talks about learning from mistakes. I guess, as we've just said, humble beginnings from hardships, from failures. Being obsessive is part of the secret to success. Learning how to effectively communicate and going beyond, I guess, the comfort zone in doing so. Have fun. Don't quit too early. Believe in yourself or in your own capabilities. And the last point is know your talent or your gift once again. So I'm sure that our audiences are taking lots of notes. So Vin, do you have a trick to perform tonight?
Could I just share one more thing that I'm super passionate about, that if there was one message I want to, I guess, radiate through the world, it would be this. Is that okay, Fet? Is that all right?
Go for it. Absolutely.
Look, the last thing that I really want to share with all the listeners who are listening right now, or who may be listening to this another time, is that one of the biggest failures I've been through, I remember when I was the closest to giving up, my dad came into my garage where I was doing my startup, and he walks up to me and he says to me, why do you think you've lost? And I was ready to give up. And he goes, why do you think you've lost? And I said, Dad, I don't really know. And he goes, no, why did you lose? And he said, it's because you don't have enough soldiers in your army. I was like, Dad, don't give me this Confucius stuff. Just tell me straight. Enough soldiers in your army, boy. Every single time you read a book in your life, and you consume that book, it took an author years to write that book. Their life is in there. Once you consume that, they now stand behind you as a soldier in spirit, willing to fight for any cause you desire in your life. So you have less than 50 soldiers in your army. The battle you're fighting requires an army of 500. Build your army. So
I love it.
Connecting to what I said before about capability, a lot of the times why we lose is not because we're not capable. A lot of the reasons why we fail is simply because we don't have the right knowledge. So to me, people don't win when they don't have the right knowledge. It's just people don't know how to win yet. That's all. So build your army, and there's nothing you can't achieve. And I think that's something that's really important for modern day. Yeah.
I love your metaphor, Vin. Have more soldiers in your army, and I'll certainly write that one down and learn from that philosophy of yours. I do have one last question, and then you can perform your last bit of your last trick.
That thing here, like, yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh wow!
I had to keep that in there for a while. It's quite stressful.
That's awesome. Now, do people ask you to do that again?
No, magicians only do things once, mate.
Only once. What a shame I wasn't looking. Only kidding. So my last question is, what are the common challenges or obstacles that I guess people face when trying to persuade, and how does magic remove that challenge?
Magic teaches you. Okay, so if you go real deep now, let's go another layer deeper, right? Why does magic have such a great effect on people? Why does magic build such great rapport and trust so quickly? It's because it breaks the normal patterns in life. Normally, people are all on autopilot. We're all on autopilot as we walk through the city, as we walk through life. And then magic just breaks the rules in our reality. It just breaks a pattern. So essentially, at the core of magic is a pattern break. It just breaks the norm. It snaps you out for a second, and it engages in your inner child. So to me, you don't have, it's not just magic. You can do this with anything. Some people do it with humor. Some people do it with music. Some people do it with comedy. So I think at the core of it is magic breaks the norm. And to be more influential, you need to break the norm, because influencers don't follow the crowd. And I think that's the common thread that I've found to connect the two dots.
They're the black sheep, I'm sure, and going against the grain is how you get noticed. Whilst I have that last question to ask you, I have a few more questions from the public coming through, and again another one from Blake. Amazing questions here. Now the question is, Vince says to hang around people who will better you or make you grow, and he states how he contacts or hangs around influencers of many types. My question is, what or how would you suggest to make someone like you, as you know, it will benefit your business position? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. So how do you get someone's attention so that they will mentor you or give you guidance?
Yeah.
And I think in order to get someone's attention, you have to understand one core principle. And again, I learned everything from my parents. My dad told me this as well. The average number of years that people get to live for, men is 83, women is 86, 87. So work out the number of days you have left to live, Blake. And for me, I'll use me as an example. I'm 30. I've got about 18,000 days left to live. The mentor that I want to go and seek, he's maybe 60, he's maybe 70. He's got 6,000 days, 8,000 days left to live. You have to think, why would that person want to spend one of their precious days with you? So you got to reverse it. Not what I can get from them. You have to think, what can I do for them that's going to allow me to deserve their day, their one day of their time? What can I do so I can deserve the favor that I ask? Which in reverse, only ask for favors you deserve. And I think that puts you in the right mindset to be able to get their attention. So like one of my mentors, I wanted to get his attention. I knew he just wrote a book. So I used all of my savings. I bought 1,000 copies of his books, and I took a photo of it and I sent it to him. I said, hey, I love what you do. I believe in what you believe. Can I have an hour of your time? And I believe I now deserve that because I've given first. So,
apart from being a great magician, I think you're a man of wisdom, and you do have some really great little gems to share with the public. So I greatly appreciate all that you've said tonight. We'll probably have to wrap up the show in just a moment. And just for the listeners again, our next show on Inspire Talk is actually next week, the 6th of December, this time at 12 p.m. During the day, a special time. And I will be interviewing branding expert Zarina Robertson, and we will be focusing on how to create a magnetic brand for your business and attract clients. So stay tuned and tune into inspiretalk.net. But for tonight, I guess I wanted to give you a huge thank you, Vin. I've really enjoyed tonight's show. I guess I've really connected with a lot of what you've said and learned as an entrepreneur that I guess I can learn a lot from a magician like yourself, and I might start practicing my magic tomorrow, especially because my kids often talk about it and they want me to learn a few tricks. So I'm sure I'll be an influence to them as well. So once again, thank you. And maybe if you have anything more you want to say, or perhaps how people can get hold of you or get in contact with you, this is your chance.
Yeah, sure. Look, if you're interested in what I do, jump onto facebook.com/askvinh, V-I-N-H. I've fly videographer with me all year round. So my heart and soul right now is I want to be able to create content and share it with the world. So yeah,
Awesome.
if you like what I have to say, come check it out.
Absolutely, will do. And I'm sure I'll be following you very carefully as time goes by. So once again, good night, and we'll keep in touch. Bye.
Thank you, Fed.